Hello and welcome to this Synched Stories video where we will be redrawing Tintin and it's part 17. In this edition here, or in this part of the video series, we will get on with the coloring, and depending on how much resistance we are encountering, we may do this in either 1 or 2 or even 3 parts, but I expect that we will have at least one version of the coloring done before the end of this video. So let's start with usual advertisement here, 987 degrees centigrade, which is the printed comic book that I'm working on myself. So it's a ongoing project, and it's part of a bigger series, which is Unlimited Danger Season 1. And as you can see here on the back cover, it's 8 books here, 8 printed color books, and so this is the whole season. So this is coming up. I'm doing it right now, parallel with these videos here. So okay, so we have Castafiore Emerald. We are on page 33, and it's panel A2 on the first row of that page. And as I usually say, it might be to your advantage if you have the Castafiore Emerald yourself, a printed copy of it, or a scan that you can put on your computer while we were working, because that's what I have. I have a scan on my left computer, or on my left monitor, which you cannot see. So I will be trying to replicate these colors in this panel to produce a as close replica as I can, but we will possibly, so my plan is this, that we will produce one version with like the base colors, the local colors, the just flat colors, if I may say so. And that version is of course okay, so this flat color is in its own right, it's a product of a normal Xflats, what I'm using in my own project. So an external flatting is a coloring method by which you produce a non-realistic color area, or a bunch of areas, which you are then going to convert to color the real colors, so to speak. So the process, we always have to have this intermediate coloring if we are being efficient, and if we are being professional in terms of being able to print it so that it gets a nice coloring without any strange white areas or anything in between the line art and the colors. So anyway, but so the plan is to at least come up with that base colors, as I call them, which is an approximation of what is going on in Tintin's panel. But there is a problem, or I mean, there's always something, and the problem is that if we actually go in and look at a printed comic book, Tintin, Castafiore Emerald, if we go in there and sort of blow it up, I can do this now here off screen, and the reason you're not seeing this is I'm not I'm trying to avoid any problems of copyright, so I'm not showing Tintin's original panel because I don't have the copyright to that, and the copyright isn't ended according to copyright law. I think the general principle is 70 years after the author has deceased, and that time is nowhere approaching. Alright, so I'm going up in size here, in scale, in the original 200%, 300%, 400%, something like that. And then at that time I see that the colors are not because of the pixels, and also because of not just the pixels, but my resolution isn't big enough, so I can't actually see it. But normally in printings of this time you have like a half-tone pattern, and so it's not solidly printed. So there's not each color is not solidly printed, but it's printed in the form of little dots, and making up a certain percentage of a color. So the individual colors are creating an effect of blue. So I'm going to try to so the conclusion then is that I cannot easily just use the thermometer here, or the whatever it's called, this tool over here, eyedropper. I cannot easily use that on that drawing to sort of catch the color. And even if I could, I wouldn't do it anyway, because this is a exercise in looking at the art, and from there estimating what should be done in our own replica. So the idea is then that we are going to visually appreciate this Tintin panel, and we're visually trying to approximate the colors that we see. So that will be the issue. But first, of course, we have to, as I usually follow my usual process here, and that is that on top of the inked layer, this is the ink layer. So if I go solo on that one, I see that this is the complete line art that we want to see in the finished panel. So I'm now going to I'm going to make a special copy of this and call this Xflats. Xflats line art, and we are on part 17, sorry. And I'm going just to alt drag this normal line art into here, and then I'm going to rename it Xflats line art start, and I'm going to remove everything that I don't need for the creation of the color flats. Alright, so let's, and I've been hiding the normal line art, so there's only the Xflats line art left. So what do I know then about the why would I have to remove it? Well, you want to remove it because you want to more clearly get a grip on how the coloring is going to be made. So some people might not appreciate this, but I'm doing this just for my own sake, to force myself to see the colors before I apply this process. So then what I want to do is I want to describe to myself here and to you in the audience, how am I going to color this? Well, I'm going to color this by, there's one color here to the left here, and the same color goes over here in this background here, and then on the very right the same color comes here also. And I know that as seen on the original panel, I have the same color in between here and the balloon in the background, all around there, all around here, right? And then Professor Cacalus's face is the same color. Oh, not the same color as the background, but there's some special color to his face, and the same color is in his glasses also, which may be surprising to some. So we don't have to treat that individually either. But then his white, his mouth is white there, so that has to be another color. And then there is some red shading here, or some red extra effect here on his, what do you call this, cheeks or chins or cheeks, right? And then you have another color on his collar and his shirt here, which is white, if you call that a color. And then you have a separate color here on his suit, on here, down here. which is the same as this one here. It pops up there. And the same goes for Tintin here. He has one color in his face here, but then he also has like a orange thing in his hair here, which is not outlined by a solid line. And the hair goes also here, so his whole hair is like a carrot color. And then also we have some we want the white here inside the drops, and that's basically it. And then of course he also has this some red, slight red here painted over his cheeks. So basically everything is just flat colors. In the original, of course, it was watercolor or gouache, and sometimes some other color. It's called as echo line. If you had a more strong color, you could use echo line. Otherwise, and then of course you could also use, if it's more opaque, you could use gouache. But so then those were the alternatives in the real coloring, so to speak. But we're now doing our closest approximation here in on the computer. So this is our modern version, or versions. Okay, so we are on the Xflats line art layer, and what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to erase and just to, okay, so we have to do that as well. We have to get a frame also. We have a special frame. So I'm going to, let's see if we can. I go solo on this one now, and I see, okay, the ordinary frame has a good, it's already prepared for this work here. So I'm going to keep those there. I'm going to, well, I can actually keep the balloon also. But what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to so I'm going solo here on this layer here, and let's see, I'm going to make this a little bigger here. So I'm copying, pasting, and now I have this layer like that. I'm doing V for move, and I'm dragging it out a little bit to make the layer a little bigger. Then I'm hitting enter, and now I am again showing all the other layers. I thought, well, let's do it this way then. So I'm having the Xflats frame, which I'm moving right now, and I'm placing it somewhat outside here. So if we go multiply on that one, we see that. So what I want to do is I want to place it well. Now I'm moving the wrong one. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's redo that then. Okay, so that's the original position of. So when the balloon comes, it comes. Yes, okay, good. And then this is the one we. Okay, so we have a layer like that, and then what I want is I want to merge that with the white, so I select that as well. And then I do my usual Control-Alt-E to create a new layer, and then I get an all-covering Xflats layer here. Or actually, if sorry, a frame for the Xflats line art. Okay, so we can remove that one now. So the real frame is smaller. And why? Because then when we create our Xflats color layer, we will guaranteed be within the frame. So that's why we do this. Okay, so we have a good Xflats frame. Now we are going to so then we can actually erase these ones, and we can say Xflats frame, and then we do a Control-Alt-E to produce a with frame. Okay, so this is just the usual process. So now, as seen in my own artwork, my own comic book panels. So now what we do is we need to connect all lines. So therefore I create a new layer here, and we continue on that. Connected lines. And this is because we're going to use the automatic flattening method here. So we want all the lines to be connected so that the computer can see the areas and create colored areas that are exactly fitting with the line art. And this is also why I used the white background. I was sort of filling out the whole background, because this is a positioning device. So if I fill out the whole white, I get the exact same canvas size as so I can paste it again inside this document, because we have to go outside. That's the problem. We have to go outside to another program, and we have to process this connected lines line art in order to create those automatic flats, and then we have to come back to this program again and paste it. So the size is very important. I mean, you could just copy and paste. You can take a smaller, you can just take just around outside the frame here and paste it, and you could do that, but then you have to, when you come back, then you have to go down on a pixel level and try to fit the new pixels with the old pixels, and that's a problem because you won't get any line art in the produced version, so you don't see the same. You only get colors, so you can't really fit easily the outline of anything. It's not the same outline, so the border in between the colors will not equal any border on any object here. So then you have sort of estimated manually, which is laborsome. Alright, so that's just a simple explanation. So now what I'm doing is I'm first and foremost I'm connecting all the lines to the frame. So I'm taking my brush and remember now that all these lines out here will never be seen by any living being other than you. So when I'm extending these lines, I'm just doing this in order for the coloring. This is not any line art that will ever be seen. And these lines do not have to be especially beautiful, but they have to be black so that the computer can understand that they are lines. And here we just continue in any pattern. And I'm quite, I have to take care that I don't destroy the original black line, so that's the only caveat. But then what happens here is, alright, so we have connected all those lines, and also we have to connect do that for now. And here, of course, you don't have to make it look like a hand here. You can just do this. It's just because we want one color here, so you don't have to preserve the shape of anything. You just go down like that. And then hopefully this will work. So let's see if we can find any lines that are not connected. Do we have any more lines that are not connected to anything? Yes, we have Tintin's colors here. And so if we don't connect these lines here, in my method here, then Tintin's face will have the same color as the background. So we have to be careful to do that. And But in order to know where we're going to draw the line here, I have to look more carefully here on the original to see how the coloring is made. Of course we could change, even if I would mess it up here. Let's see how this, there is a strange spot here. I'm not sure if this is on the color plate itself, or is it just in my printed book that I scanned. But there's a strange whitish thing here, but it seems at least that the coloring is made something like that. So now painting in the the border here of the colors. So it's blue up here and it's carrot red down there, like that, and then the coloring is, I think that's the basic idea. I just have to make this black enough here. And there has to be, also remember here that there will be no thickness left, so the computer program will divide this line in two and assign one color to the left side of it along with the background color, and then it will assign another color, which is the hair color in this case, to this half of the line. So the splitting will be right in the middle of the line, of every line. So even if we paint this a little thicker, I mean, theoretically we could have this, I could paint this thicker already now and it wouldn't make any difference, because what it is, it's all about splitting the line in half. So what matters is the middle of the line, but line has to be thick enough to be detected as a line. That's the, so therefore we make it a little thicker. Okay, so that's good. But then we have this outline here for the hair color, and this is quite a big area, and I think I will actually, I think it's good enough that we treat his head as one color for now, and then when we have produced the color flats, I can manually paint in this color. But of course, no, actually, I think I'm going to do it manually anyhow. Now, already before, because then we get a approximate. So I'm not. This is not the last version of the outline, but I'm just demonstrating that if we know what we're going to do later on, then we can prepare some work already. So I'm just quickly painting in one to demonstrate the process, basically. So we could have colored this later from scratch, so to speak, without doing this outline, but I'm doing this outline just to demonstrate how it could be done, because we could just use the face color when we do this, and then later when the color plate is done, then we can paint over the just substitute the hair color for a new color. But I think it's nice to have at least an approximate here of what is done, or what could be done. So we get sort of into so I think the basic algorithm is to just get something done here, so that we get the colors, some preliminary version of the colors going, so to speak, and then we can fine adjust the actual placement of the so it's just about finding the right outline here. So but now we have sort of we have painted in here, we have drawn the line to just to tell ourselves, like it's like a yellow, one of those post-it notes, that we are going to have a carrot red hair, but and the approximate outline is like this, and but of course we can change it later. So. Okay, so it's just a first approximation here. And again, we have to have some pixels in the outline. So, but this is not an outline in the line art. That's the important thing. It's just a line art for the colors. And this line here goes not so far down, not so quickly. It's more like that, I think. And it still goes back a little bit. Perhaps that would be better. So it's also a matter of how quickly we can do this also. So some maybe the whole process would be quicker if I didn't do this line here. So but still I'm illustrating. So let's leave it at that. And so in terms of having connected all the lines, we are now finished, it seems. Okay, so we have connected all the lines, we have prepared the, but then we have to, then I'm going to just erase everything that we don't need for the color plates. So I'm using my pencil now, and white, so I'm just quickly removing, so I can easier see if I've made any mistakes. Also, that's also very, so the ear is all going to have, there's not same color in the ear, nothing about that. There's no coloring of the eyes. There's no coloring connected with this. We don't need eyebrows. Let's see, just have a look at calculus again here. Is there anything else going on? So he has a white mouth apart from So basically we can erase everything here. Well, we can keep the hair, it doesn't. Basically we want to keep everything, and it doesn't matter this black. Actually I could just do that or something. It doesn't. So what we want to do is we want to keep the outline. That's what we want. Want to keep the outline of his head. And this way we also get a more like that, and no effects, and just so we treat this as black. Okay, good. Okay, so that's done. And here is nothing, seems to be no extraneous details here. And the sweat drops here we cannot remove, or we could do it, but then we have to fix them later on, because we need the white there inside the sweat drops. The background is some version of blue, and then we have white inside the sweat drops. So we have to keep those two in order to get that color layer inside there. Alright, and we have, what else do we have? Well, we can erase this line here, because these are not helpful. The outline we need is the, I'm just demonstrating here just to, the outline we need is the one, the horizontal line we drew there. Okay, so, and the same goes here in Tintin's face. We don't need any eyes, we don't need any, we don't need any nose for the colors. We just need an outline. But again, here in mouth we need the mouth because there's white in the mouth. And then we don't need this in the ear there either. And we don't need this. There's no coloring in terms of, there's no special treatment there with this, that line we remove there. And I just want to be sure that this is black enough. Like that, so I think that's basically it in terms of the Xflats line art that we have. So the only question we have now is this white inside the sweat drops, is it big enough that the computer can detect it? Because it's questionable whether it's I think it's on the limit there, so maybe this will be a color area created automatically or not. And if it's not created automatically, then we will have to add it manually ourselves later on. But that's a later issue. Okay, I think we're done there, and we are now going to save this as an Xflats layer. I'm saving it first on its own there, and then I'm doing a PNG here. Oh, I forgot to. And then we have no transparency here, for the auto flatting process. And I'm going to put this on the drive here in part, where are we? Part 17. Okay, let me see if I can find the folder here. Part 17. Okay, there it is. Okay. And then I rename it for Xflats, like that. And I'm going to hide Photoshop, and then I'm clicking on the 4 Xflats PNG. I'm not clicking on it, I'm actually dragging it over to Krita, this other program, which is now loading on my left monitor. But the main window should come up on the right here. Okay, good. And then comes the document that we dragged upon, the icon. Okay, so here we are, and I'm now just going to start gmic Qt. Hopefully we will have, as you can see here on the right, we will have a automatic coloring. We press OK, and then we remove the first layer there, so we can see what actually was created, and that looks fine. And we see here that, as I expected, that only 2 of the 4 drops were created. So we can fix that for ourselves. Now here's something also interesting. What happened there? So maybe we should redo this. Let's see, because I didn't watch, or I didn't check the settings here. So, but actually we had the right settings. Okay, so then we will accept that as a result, and we will save that as a Photoshop image and we will call it Xflats done. So now we have something to take in to Photoshop, and now I'm just clicking on it, Xflats done file, and I'm selecting everything including the white, and I am pasting it. Let's see where we should do this. All inked. Maybe we can create a new folder here then. Colors. Part 17. And then I'm just pasting now what I copied earlier. So we have a color here, and so if I go solo, I see it. Okay, so it is there, but I have to invoke multiply here to see it. So I'm going multiply on the, oh, no, not on the Xflats line, on the all inked. That's where I want to use. Okay, so now we have some colors, and now we're just going to look at the balloon here also to see that it actually places goes right, and then we go to the frame, so we see where you see here that the colors there, we colored a little more. So then when I go back to normal here mode, then we just get to, so multiply mode, normal mode, because the frame looks like this, so it's opaque white here, and then we see through all the layers that are below this layer, like so. Okay, good. And you see also here that Tintin's hair became pretty good, or at least there's some, we got some color at least, and some preliminary shape. We can always fix this now, but right. So we have a folder called colors, and then I'm renaming this to Xflats here. So, and I'm copying it, and I'm locking it so we don't do any mistakes. And I'm also hiding the Xflats, so now we only are working with something called the colors, and so now our job is just to replace the colors. And some of these things are easy. We can start with the easy stuff, the white ones. So I know I have white here, I know I have white outside. I can also do a D and an X, so I always get my FFFFF white. And magic wand. Yeah, but before we start calling, I'm just going to show you here then, if we zoom in then, and I hide and show the ink here, you can see that the computer program that generated the Xflats takes the sort of middle of the line and extends the colors to the middle of the line, so there's no gap in between the colors. They are edge to edge or side to side, so to speak. So and this is of course important when in terms of if you're doing traditional color printing on an offset printer where you're doing several print runs. You're not printing all the colors in one shot, but you're, so then you want to have some insurance that the colors are covering as much as possible. Okay, good, all inked. So we just go down and select the colors then, and we started with white, so we used the magic wand W here and select those areas that are going to be white, and then a G for the paint bucket. Then his mouth is also going to be white, W, G. And then we can do the same on Tintin here. His collar here, his collar here is white, and his mouth is white. So that didn't work. Okay, so then what we'll do here is that we're actually going to paint with the pencil directly on it. So I'm now painting with white here, like that, and we can of course check this here by going solo here, that okay, so we have white reasonable, and then the sweat drops as well, but before we go on, I'm going to show you my usual trick here to paint, to fix to manually fix those areas that weren't fixed by the computer itself. So I'm going to the inked layer and I'm choosing 20%. And after that I'm going back to the colors layer and I'll start painting. So the benefit here is that I can now see the outline of I can see the black, not as black, but as a grayish line, and I can see where I want to have the outline of my white. So here, for instance, I can see that if I go up in scale here, I can see that I painted white here, but I didn't see what I actually painted because I had the line art on 100% black. But now when I have the opacity down to 20%, sorry, excuse me. When I have it down to 20%, I can hit the I can use the eyedropper and I can redo the outer color here to fix so that the white ends in the middle of the line. That's what I want. So I want that my manual, just like here in the around the shirt, I want the black line to be divided in two. The color outside the shirt and the color inside the shirt, or the color, the color of the color. So that's what I'm doing here then. So, and that is important now for the sweat drops. So I have to which weren't created manually by the program because they were too small. And that is one of the drawbacks of auto generating your flats, is that there is a possibility that the line art is not big enough. So the rule is simple, that you want I'm using the brush. Oh, yeah, right, so that's why I have to go down. So I'm using a 1 pixel pencil here right now, not the brush. I don't want the anti-aliasing on the colors, so I have to go back and fix that. Okay, so that's that one. So I'm just going to redo it. So I'm taking the color there, and then I'm just putting white on and pencil tool, and I'm whoops, pencil tool, this Xflats color. We haven't actually selected this color yet, but just wanted to illustrate the process here. And now we go back to white, so we redo it without, because when you use the brush you always get the what is it called? Anti-aliasing. So you always get the anti-aliasing. I mean, if you have it selected, I mean, you could, I think you can choose to not have it, but okay, so we are just painting over, so maybe we should just, so the area is working. It's just that there's no, I didn't have to do this because it's already done. I just had to, so we could do that just by using this. Oh, whoops, no, you're right. I have to select the wand so we don't accidentally color anything else. And that should be done. And this looks a little strange. And why does it do that? Because we are having this layer in the all inked layer. So if we take that away, we would have a solid white layer there, just as we have here and there. Oh, there. Oh, I made a mistake up there. Oh, really? Okay, good. Good that I discovered it. Okay, so let's go back to the all inked and down to 20%, and let's redo this. And we do as we did before. We just go from scratch here. Just, oh, I'm painting. Oh, this is a good session because I'm doing some mistakes. I'm now painting on the inked layer, which we shouldn't have done. So this is sometimes, I just have to confirm here that we are good to go again. Alright, so now we're back, but we just have to select the layer of colors before we do any painting. So okay, so we have the right color selected, and we just go back, and then we D and X to get the white. And we are using the pencil, so we are getting our no anti-aliasing here. That should be able to do the trick there. And that looks good as well. And we can actually check that. Yep, that looks great. Okay, good. Now we can go back down in scale, and then we can try to find some other colors here. And also we can do some cleanup here. there's some residue here from, so let's just use the eyedropper there, and we'll just paint over here. Doesn't matter, like that. So we get, so it's the white, and of course this is solid, this black, the whole moustache. So it's, so the program divides this big area into three. So you get the blue color, 1/3 of it, and then you have this color here, you get half of that, and then and then there's a third part, which is the white that sort of goes into the black. But you won't see that, of course, when you have when the ink layer is reset to 100%. Okay, so now we do a little more white in here, which I forgot to do there, so that should be white, and this portion here should also be white. Some calculation mistake there. Okay, good. So then we have clean areas, and this one should also be white. Okay, good. Right, and I will select the color for the face in just a minute. I just want to check that the smaller things are done, and then we can, oh whoops, and then we can fix this one here as well, which is some kind of mistake. So I'm just taking this fingers. Now one of the things I did that was not so good would have been to more carefully look at this hand, because I see here on the original on my left monitor that that the color of the hand is all the same. So what I should have done quickly was when I prepared my Xflats layer, I should have removed this line. Has no bearing on the color, and all of this. I didn't want all these intersections here, so I should have erased all these lines here, so I could have just a single outline of the hand, and that would have prevented all these, also these small things that I had to manually correct now. And also so because even if they were working as I had outlined them in the Xflats line art, then I still would have two areas that I had to recolor anyway. So it would have been better just to have one big area, because the destination color is just one. It's just one color, the whole hand. So all these things is good to see and think about, to get like a better production speed, if you have many panels to produce. I mean, if you're only producing one panel every 5 years, then it doesn't matter, of course. But if you're doing panel after panel after panel after panel, then it's good to have a good system to work with. Alright, so then there is something there at some pixels there as well that we have to fill it with clean white there, okay? And here is as well is something, and it seems as if the process didn't really, the auto flatting didn't really work here, so I'm going to manually paint in here white here. When I deselect, I have to deselect the area first. Okay, so I think that's okay. I think that's good enough. And the mouth there, perhaps I could just quickly just make it a little more beautiful there in the colors. Okay, like that. Maybe down 1 pixel there. Okay, that should work. And now let's just find the right colors. We can, so what I tend to do here is that let's start with the background. Let's start with the background. So I'm using my magic wand and I'm selecting everything behind Tintin and calcles. So we should have, hopefully where is, oh right, so it's going out. So if I zoom out, you'll see that all the area is going outside there. So everything outside. And now what I do is I go up to Control U for U saturation. And I'm going to try to pinpoint the before I do that, okay, I'm going to adjust the scale over here on my left monitor so that it's 100% just as I have here, so that my impression of the color is similar. Okay, something like that. And now we do the Control U. And let's see if we can find that blue greenish sort of. Let's see where we have that. So it's something about the lightness, something about the saturation, and should we make it more green or should we make it more blue? lightness. Maybe it's too green, maybe. Okay, and then my experience tells me that we have to narrow in on the colors iteratively. So we have to get it approximately right, and then we have to refine that which we see at that point. So it's not just it's not entirely easy to do this in one shot, so to speak, because the differences in colors are too big to the original. So the closer each part, especially the big parts, the closer to the original color they get, the better we can evaluate them. So I'm now trying to find. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to treat all the face colors, all the basic face colors, as the same color. So I'm just going to do it on calculus first, and then we can copy that to the other objects. So we want some version of orange yellow here. Orange. Let's max the saturation, and we want it more reddish. More reddish and lighter. More reddish. And less reddish. So 111 there. Okay. Maybe something like that, and then a little brighter. Okay, we can always fix that later, as with everything. So deselect it, and now we will go back to the inked layer and redo it to 100% so we see better, so we don't get the wrong impression here. So that's the approximation here. And then let's apply this. So I'm using the eye for this tool here, eyedropper tool, and I'm using the W here to select the face and the hand while keeping shift down, so I'm adding the areas. And then I'm using G to paste the color, and doing it in both of the fingers there and on the whole hand. And I'm deselecting. And let's see, and then we have some version of most crucial is Tintin's sweater. Okay, we have, okay, and it's not the same color here, so I cannot select both of them and at the same time, because if I change the, if I use the hue saturation here, then I will just change these relatively. So even if I make this perfect blue, this will not be perfect blue. So I just have to change one of them, and then I'm going to use the eyedropper to and the paint bucket to paste that color into it. Okay, so let's see if we can narrow down Tintin's blue color there. So it's a greenish blue. It's like a darker version of the background. Could it be something like that? A little too much, perhaps. Maybe saturation is something like that. It's not too bad. So for first approximation, we can. Now eyedropper tool, I use the wand, the W, and I use G, the paint bucket. So now we have Tintin's sweater, and then we're going to do a green color here. So W for the wand, and then Control U. Let's see if we can find a good green color there. Let's max out the saturation so we see the colors more clearly. And I go down on the lightness also. I see the green. I want a green there, and then we go down on saturation, I guess. Question is it more, it's on the yellow side, I think. Then we have to go down on the lightness, and saturation must also go down. Right, lightness, maybe more or maybe less. Okay, so, oh, here it is more. Here it is more. Lightness. Whether we can desaturate it even more. Not okay. I think that's not too bad. We can always return, as I usually say, deselect it and eyedropper, and all the areas here are the same color, it seems. So we do like that. And then we only have the last one left. And we take up the hue saturation. We are going for a, let's see, we want a carrot color, which is radically, it's probably a version of that. So if I go down the lightness there, you see, alright, so if I just so now the question is just how bright it is. I went in too far here, I think, but let's okay this for now, and then I'm going to zoom out to 100%. It's always good to see the colors, but it doesn't look that bad. So I think this is one of the most critical steps then, that the main colors are selected correctly. So you have to have this color balance between the objects. And now I think you could argue that the blue background is too bright, perhaps, compared to the original. But yeah, alright, so maybe that's true. So let's fine adjust it. Maybe we can bring down the lightness of it a few notches. Then again, okay, so -4 then on the brightness there. So But once again here, I think it's important to see the colors at the side here. So this color on Tintin's sweater is has to be not just like 1 degree less than this one, or like the darkness of it. There has to be some contrast. So if you make the background too dark, then this darkness of his sweater is disappears somewhat. So this is something to think about when we're designing our own panels, that we select the right colors, and so that the background color sort of fits in the. I mean, I think this fits very nicely with this orange here and this kind of blue-greenish background here, and also this carrot color and his shirt here. So they're all matched, and his face and like that. So what we could say now that is that the total impression is not so bad. The total impression is not so bad, but that perhaps this suit here, that Professor Cackle's suit. But let's do like this. Let's do another version here. So we're keeping this for just in case, and then we're working on a new color layer here. Or it's the, at the moment it's exactly just a duplicate, but we will fine adjust the colors on his suit here, or coat, or whatever it is. So because it seems that they are a little somewhat darker. Okay, maybe we can bring down the lightness just -5 or so, -4 perhaps. Oh, I think more than that. Maybe the saturation as well here, so we bring okay, to see how this feels, and then we can compare the colors here with. Yeah, I think we're better off doing that. It looks more like the original, I think. Alright, so then, and then we have the outline of Tintin's hair there. So I'm going to zoom in on that. I'm going up to 300% on Tintin here. And let's do the same here. So maybe this line. So what we're going to do then is that we're going to paint. Maybe I want to do that in a third layer here. So So I'm messing around with Tintin here. So what I want to do, eyedropper on the face color, and I'm going to adjust this line here a little bit. So I think it's, or maybe I should go with this color first here. Okay, good. So I have like a 2 pixel or something color, and I'm painting on, we should start here. Yeah, it's not. And then eyedropper and just go out there, perhaps a little. And then maybe the angle is a little different here, so I should, it comes out. Maybe it doesn't go down that far. Something like that. And then this line up here should go a little more like that. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I just want to check with the original here, so there's more edginess in this one, and I don't like that actually. It's not, oops. But if it is there in the original, then of course then we shouldn't change it. So I think it actually is there in the original. It's maybe just that the angle is a little different there. Or not. Actually, I think it's, well, I'm going to keep this there. Although I have some there's something to be said for this version here, and I am going to, because when it comes to Tintin's face, everything is critical. Okay, so pen. I'm going to make this a little softer there. All right, I think that's it. That's what we want to see. So I think the first color adventure here is done, and we could do it in other ways as well. And perhaps we could do more videos about the coloring, trying to get it even more like the effect of the original panel. But for now, I think the basic colors here are all right, and so I'm going to leave it at that. And a quick reminder here about the 987 degrees centigrade, which is my own production, where I have another where I'm applying a special way of coloring my characters, as you can see on this cover here, where I'm trying to get that watercolor, gouache watercolor effect, even though I'm painting mostly in Photoshop. Alright, so that's it. I'm happy that you have listened so far, and I see you in the next video.